You walk into a room, the energy shifts. Maybe someone throws a subtle jab. Maybe it's a rude comment online. Maybe it's that one person who knows exactly how to push your buttons and pushes them every time. And you feel it, that rise in your chest, the tight jaw, the instinct to clap back or shut down. But then you breathe. You decide. Not today, not this time. Because here's the truth. Acting like nothing bothers you doesn't mean nothing does. It means you've learned not to give everything access to your peace. There is a misconception that staying calm means you're weak, that not reacting means you don't care. Composure is not the absence of emotion, it's the presence of strength. It's saying, I see what's happening, and I choose not to let it control me. Think of a pilot in turbulence. The best one doesn't panic. They don't scream over the intercom, they adjust calmly, deliberately, because they know this. If I lose control, everyone loses. People will test you, life will challenge you, disrespect will knock on your door dressed as a harmless joke. That when you act unbothered, you reclaim your power. Because here's the secret no one tells you. Not everything deserves a reaction. Some things just want your energy, your attention, your spark. And if you hand it out carelessly, you end up empty. You're not ignoring it. You're outgrowing it. You're no longer available for drama. You become more invested in your peace than in proving a point. And let's talk about silence. Because silence isn't weakness. It's a strategy. So the next time life tests your patience or someone pokes at your peace, pause, not because you don't care, but because you've decided who you are, and no one else gets to rewrite that in a moment of madness. Act like nothing bothers you, not because you feel nothing, but because you've learned that not everything is worth feeling. That is strength. That is leadership. That is freedom. We live in a world where loudness often gets mistaken for strength, where reacting quickly is seen as confidence and silence is mistaken for weakness. But there's a quiet kind of power, the kind that doesn't yell, doesn't flinch, and doesn't need to prove anything. That's what composure really is. It's not about pretending nothing touches you. It's about choosing how you show up when things do. When you act unbothered, people often assume you're cold or detached. But that couldn't be further from the truth. You feel everything. You see the subtle disrespect. You hear the sarcasm laced in words. You notice the energy in the room shift when you walk in. But you don't let it dictate your behavior. That's not ignorance. That's discipline. It's the conscious decision to respond with clarity instead of reacting from emotion. Because reaction is easy. It's immediate. It feels good in the moment. To snap back, to defend, to prove a point. But often that reaction costs you more than it gives. You lose control. You hand over your energy. And for what? A few seconds of release followed by hours of regret? True power isn't found in the eruption. It's found in the restraint. Composure is a kind of inner leadership. It's the quiet message you send to yourself and to others. I am in control of me. And when you carry that energy, everything changes. People don't know what gets to you because nothing breaks your rhythm. They see that they can't shake you. And in a world full of chaos, that calm becomes magnetic. That's influence without force, power without pressure. But don't confuse composure with passivity. This isn't about staying silent forever. It's about choosing your moment, responding when you're ready, not when you're triggered. It's about keeping your dignity intact, even when everything around you tries to pull you out of character. Because let's be honest, the moment you lose your cool, someone else is in charge. And why would you give that kind of power away? Being unbothered isn't about denial, it's about discernment. It's knowing what deserves your energy and what doesn't. It's understanding that your time, your attention, and your peace are sacred. Not every battle is worth fighting. Not every insult deserves an answer. And sometimes silence is the most powerful response you can give, because it shows you've risen above what once pulled you down. At the end of the day, composure is about alignment. It's about being so grounded in who you are that nothing external can knock you off balance. It's not that you don't feel it, it's that you don't feed it. You recognize the moment for what it is, and you decide, I'm not going to give this the power to disrupt me. And that decision, that's where real strength lives. There's a split second between something happening and your response to it. A tiny space most people rush through without even noticing, but inside that space lives your greatest power. It's called the pause. And when you learn to master it, you no longer let the world dictate your reactions. You reclaim control, not just of your words or your actions, but of your direction, your presence, your influence. Most people are taught to respond quickly. We live in a fast-moving culture that celebrates instant replies and knee-jerk reactions. But fast isn't always effective. In fact, most of the damage done in relationships, leadership, and self-worth comes from reacting too quickly and thinking too late. The pause gives you the gift of clarity. It creates room to ask the right questions. What's really happening here? Is this about me, or is this about them? Is this a moment I need to respond to or just observe? Pausing isn't hesitation, it's precision. It's not weakness, it's wisdom. When you pause, you step out of the emotional fog and into a space where you can actually see the situation clearly. You stop being emotionally driven and start being strategically grounded. And in a world where emotions run high and patience runs low, that's a rare and powerful skill. Think about the last time someone triggered you. Maybe they insulted you, challenged you, or dismissed you. The instant urge is to defend, to strike back, to show you won't tolerate it. But what if you paused instead? What if you didn't react at all in that moment? Suddenly, you're not just another person in the noise. You become the person who knows how to hold their ground without losing their center. That kind of presence doesn't just earn respect, it commands it. And the pause isn't just for others, it's for you. It's where your best decisions are made. It's where you separate what's true from what's temporary. The anger that surges in 1 second might vanish in the next. But if you act on that first feeling without pausing, the consequences might linger far longer than the moment deserved. Mastering the pause means mastering your narrative. You stop letting other people pull the strings of your behavior. You stop being a puppet to triggers and start becoming the author of your actions. That's not just emotional maturity, that's real power. Because anyone can shout, anyone can explode, but very few can stay still, process, and respond with intention. So the next time something stirs your emotions, remember the pause, not to suppress how you feel, but to honor it enough to respond with clarity instead of chaos. That pause might only last a few seconds, but what you choose inside it can shape everything that comes next. That's where control lives, not in dominance, not in noise, but in stillness, in the deliberate decision to be bigger than the moment. Energy is one of the most valuable resources you have, more than time, more than money. because your energy shapes how you show up, how people experience you, and how you experience life. Every thought you entertain, every argument you engage in, every situation you obsess over, it all has a cost. And most people don't even realize they're spending themselves into emotional debt by reacting to everything that comes their way. We're taught to be on all the time, to defend ourselves, to have the last word, to correct every misunderstanding and prove every point. But if you really look closely, you'll see that the people who are most grounded, the ones who carry real influence, they're not the ones making the most noise. They're the ones who have learned to conserve their energy and use it with intention. They don't react to everything, not because they don't notice, but because they know what matters. The strongest person in the room is often the quietest. Not because they're afraid to speak, but because they know they don't have to. Their presence already says enough. Their restraint isn't a lack of power. It's proof that they've outgrown the need to prove anything. That's what intentional energy looks like. It's the decision to protect your peace over your pride. Imagine walking through your day with this mindset. My energy is currency. You would start asking yourself, is this conversation worth investing in? Is this drama worth draining me? Is this battle worth my attention, or is it just noise trying to distract me from my real purpose? That's the difference between living reactively and living intentionally. When you realize that not every insult deserves a clapback, not every post needs a comment, and not every challenge requires your engagement, you begin to reclaim power. You begin to own your energy instead of handing it out to anyone who pushes your buttons. This doesn't mean you become passive or detached. It means you choose where your energy goes because you understand how valuable it is. You understand that some things are beneath your attention, not because you're arrogant, but because you're aligned. You're not running on ego, you're operating from clarity. Intentional energy also looks like choosing rest over burnout, focus over distraction, peace over performance. It's knowing when to speak and when to stay silent, when to engage and when to walk away. Every decision either deposits into your energy or withdraws from it. The more aware you become of that, the more powerful you become. Not louder, but clearer. Not more reactive, but more rooted. So start treating your energy like a bank account. Don't spend it proving your worth to people who are committed to misunderstanding you. Don't waste it fighting battles that don't build you. Invest it in people, places, and pursuits that bring you closer to the life you actually want to live. Because the way you spend your energy isn't just about what you do. It's a reflection of what you value. There's a big difference between ignoring something and choosing to rise above it. One comes from avoidance, the other from awareness. When people see you stay calm in the middle of chaos, when you don't engage in the gossip, the insults, or the petty games, they might assume you didn't notice. But you did. You saw it clearly. You just chose not to give it the power to knock you off course. That's not weakness. That's transcendence. Transcending something means you've elevated your perspective. It means you've moved from a reactive place to a reflective one. You're no longer dancing with the noise. You're watching it from a higher floor. You understand that engaging with certain people, certain problems, or certain situations only drags you down to a level that no longer serves you. This is one of the most misunderstood strengths. People will call you fake. They'll say you're avoiding confrontation. But what they don't see is the deep internal work it takes to respond with maturity, to choose silence when it would feel better to speak, to walk away when staying would only feed the fire. That's not detachment. It's discipline. You're not pretending it didn't happen. You're not blind to the disrespect, the challenge, the tension. You're fully present. That you've made a conscious decision. This doesn't get to decide who I am today. That's what it means to stay in alignment. It means you don't let someone else's chaos become your chaos. You don't let the energy in the room become the energy within you. Transcending drama is one of the highest forms of emotional intelligence. It's not about superiority, it's about stability. You're not looking down on others. You're simply not letting the moment pull you down with it. You've learned that engaging in every battle isn't noble, it's draining. And in that realization, you begin to understand the value of peace over performance. It's easy to think that standing up for yourself always means speaking out, defending, proving. That sometimes the strongest statement is in your silence, in your stillness, in your refusal to be moved by things that once consumed you. Because the real flex isn't reacting, it's evolving. It's choosing peace even when your ego is begging for a war. And here's the truth. Not every battle is meant to be fought. Some are meant to be outgrown. Some are meant to show you how much you've changed. That thing that would have rattled you 6 months ago, now it just gets a smile and a shrug. That's growth. That's transcendence. So no, you're not ignoring it. You're seeing it clearly and choosing not to give it a seat at your table. You've got better things to focus on, goals to reach, values to protect, peace to maintain. Let the noise make noise. You're not above it because you think you're better. You're above it because you built something more important within. A life that no longer bends to the smallness of drama. There are moments when saying something only makes it worse. When emotions are high and tensions are thicker than words can cut through. In those moments, silence isn't avoidance. It's strategy. It's wisdom. It's a statement louder than anything you could possibly say. Because sometimes the most powerful message you can send is no message at all. Silence doesn't mean you're powerless. In fact, it often means you're the one holding the most power. You've just chosen not to spend it proving something to people who aren't ready to hear you anyway. Words can be twisted, misunderstood, taken out of context. But your calm, that speaks for itself. It says, I've got nothing to prove here. I know who I am. We're conditioned to believe that speaking up is always the right move, that silence is surrender, that if we don't clap back, we've lost. But real strength doesn't need to be loud. Real confidence doesn't need to argue. It knows when a conversation is worth having and when it's just a trap disguised as dialogue. Sometimes engaging only validates the chaos. Sometimes the best way to win is to simply not play. And silence doesn't mean you're bottling it up either. It means you found a way to process without projecting, to feel without falling apart, to observe without reacting. That's not repression, that's emotional intelligence. It takes more self-restraint to stay quiet in the face of ignorance than it does to fire back with clever words. Because silence isn't about being passive, it's about being precise. You can tell a lot about someone by how they handle silence. Some people fill it with noise, just to feel important. Others are comfortable in it because they've learned to trust themselves. They've learned that not everything needs an explanation. That clarity doesn't always come from conversation. That sometimes your calm presence in the middle of someone else's storm is enough to shift the entire atmosphere. Life will test you. People will disappoint you. Situations will spiral beyond anything you planned. And in the middle of it all, you'll face the same choice over and over again. Will you let it define you? Or will you decide how you respond? Because while you can't control the world, you can always control your reaction to it. And that's where real power begins. Most of us grow up believing that peace comes from controlling the external, fixing every problem, managing every person, trying to bend the world to our will. But the truth is, that kind of control is an illusion. Things will go wrong, people will say things that sting, plans will fall through. The real question is, who do you become in the face of it? True power isn't about life going your way. It's about being so grounded in who you are that even when life doesn't cooperate, you don't fall apart. That doesn't mean you don't feel the frustration, the sadness, the disappointment. It means you feel it and still stay centered. You experience the storm, but you don't let it rewrite your identity. Because the world is unpredictable, but your response doesn't have to be. You get to choose how you show up. You get to decide whether a hard day becomes a bad attitude, whether someone's disrespect steals your joy, whether failure becomes your identity or just another chapter in your growth. That choice, that tiny, powerful choice, is where your freedom lives. This isn't about pretending nothing affects you. It's about becoming the kind of person who decides what's worth affecting you. It's the recognition that resilience isn't built through ease, but through challenge. Every time life tries to shake you and you stay anchored, you build a deeper kind of strength, one that isn't loud or flashy, but steady and unshakable. And this strength shows up in how you lead yourself. It's in how you carry yourself when no one is watching. It's in your ability to stay aligned with your values, even when pressure is high. It's in your refusal to let circumstances make you bitter or small. When you stop trying to control everything and start mastering your own presence, that's when you become truly powerful. You stop reacting to everything, you stop giving your peace away so easily, and you start responding with intention, grace, and clarity, even when chaos surrounds you. That's not easy. It takes practice, it takes patience. But the more you do it, the more you realize that nothing outside of you has to dictate what happens within you. So let the world spin. Let the noise be loud. Let the circumstances rise and fall.